Hey everybody, Wolfie here on, I guess, a bittersweet road trip. This is my last road trip with this wonderful car. So I'm on the way up to Vermont, all the way from Florida to fucking Vermont, to buy a brand new 2020 Toyota Prius Prime, and I'm trading the old girl in, and it's weird. I've never felt like this about a car. I feel like I'm betraying this poor thing, because I know I've said many times that, you know, it's a fantastic car, best car I've ever owned, and I'll drive it till it dies, and well, it's not dead, and here I am replacing it. But between the luck of actually finding a Prime in stock somewhere and an unexpected windfall making it possible, and the fact that there's a $4,500 tax credit for this thing that's going to expire at the end of the year, it's like, okay, I gotta take advantage of all this. And, you know, this car has the battery is, according to a tool that I used, it's, the battery's health is about 48%, so it's, you know, it's probably got another 5 years in it before before the battery turns to crap. And, mechanically, there's nothing wrong with the car. It runs just fine. But, you know, it's time. It makes me sad, though. This thing has treated me so well. I really cannot complain at all about the performance of this car. It has been by far the best car I've ever owned, and I really hope that the new Prime I'm buying lives up to the Prius name. Yeah, one of my coworkers loves to give me shit for owning a Prius. He's more of the sports car type, so yeah, it's one of those friendly banter type of things we go back and forth on. I think he appreciates the fact that I've got a good sense of humor about owning a hybrid. Like, I'm gonna put, I think for the new one, I'm gonna order one of those nice etched decal things to put on the back window that says 0 to 60 eventually. Because I think the 0 to 60 on this car is like 10 seconds. So, yeah, she's not the fastest beast in the world. Although, off the line at 0, it does have a lot of torque. So, I mean, it gets, you're not going to get to 60 very quick, but you can get to 30 really quick. You can actually probably beat a sports car off the line for at least a second or two. But, you know, she's nimble when she needs to be. Yeah, I was gonna live stream this, but internet coverage has been such dog shit that I don't think that's gonna be workable. So I'm just gonna record some vlogs here and there and upload them as data permits. Hell, I did this 10 years ago. On a road trip out to Vegas, I'd do the same thing. I just recorded and then uploaded when I had coverage somewhere. And that should be workable here too. So, enough babbling about the road. The trip has been uneventful. I stayed overnight at a Red Roof Inn, of all places. There was a Hampton Inn and Suites right next door, and my phone said it was like $140 a night. I'm like, ugh, it's too rich for my blood. So Red Roof Inn was next door, and they were $70 with tax, and it was a good room. You know, indoor entrance, and you know, so it's not like a motel style place, and it was clean, decent size. The AC worked. like all hotels, the bed sucked ass. I think the only comfortable bed I've ever slept on in a hotel was at the Bellagio, of all places. I guess for what you pay there, you expect a decent bed. Might as well get over. But yeah, the only annoyance about the trip so far is that, like, starting yesterday morning, I actually had to stay home from work and work remote because my hips have been killing me. I have no idea what that's about. And I mean, like, hurts to walk kind of killing me. And I don't know what that's about. And that has made driving less than comfortable. But this has to be done. I can't put this off anymore. My credit union screwed me out of buying this car last weekend. I'm so pissed at them, and I'm actually probably going to switch. I have another credit union account at a local one in Orlando. They're the ones that mortgaged or financed the house when I first bought it in 2016, and then refied with them. And so, they've been okay. But yeah, the credit union that screwed me has been great up until now. And when I say screwed, I mean it took them forever to wire the money to the dealer. That's all. And they're up in Tallahassee, so that's a 4-hour drive from here, or from home. And it was way out of the way to try to stop in there in person to pick up a cashier's check. So I'm like, okay, fine, just wire it. And I called them Thursday morning last week to try to get it done, and their request was reasonable. By phone, they don't like to do big transfers because fraud, right? And I'm okay with that. So the compromise was they had to get approval from a supervisor, and they did, because my accounts never had any fraudulent activity, and the destination where the money's going is a car dealership, a legit one. They verified it, and so she told me Thursday morning, all right, I'm gonna send you a form that I need you to print out and have notarized, and then send that back to me along with a scan of the front and back of your driver's license. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm authorizing my credit union to transmit like $24,000. So yeah, I get that. I'm all right with them requiring some hardcore, some notarized and ID and all that shit. I'm all right with that. So I realized 10 minutes later, she never actually sent me the forms, and she never did. So I called back about 20 minutes later, and I got a different guy, of course. And I said, yeah, so I called 20 minutes ago, and I needed some paperwork to send back to you guys to fill out and send back, and I never got the paperwork from you. And so he looked up my account, and he said, well, there's no record of your previous call, so I had to start all over. And now he had to go get approval, too, from a supervisor. This isn't looking good, guys. But he did actually send the paperwork, so I got it immediately, printed it out, and had it notarized, and I scanned it back in along with my driver's license, and I sent that off to the credit union Thursday morning. I was really in a hurry on this because the idea was I was going to fly home Friday and then just drive straight through to the dealership before they closed on Saturday afternoon to get the car. Anyway, so they get everything they supposedly need, and I even called back to confirm, like, hey, you got everything you need now? He's like, yeah, I got your paperwork, it looks good, so we're going to send this off to accounting for approval and to actually execute the wire. I'm like, cool. So please call me if you need anything else from me at all. Anytime, day or night, you got my number. Here's another number you can call. He's like, no problem, we will. Well, Thursday evening after close of business, no money has left my account. and the dealer still hasn't received the money. So, Friday morning, I leave Texas by plane. Oh, wait, no, sorry, I got to start at the airport. So I go through security, and I'm sitting there waiting for the plane to board, and I'm stressing out because the plane is, well, no, this isn't worth stressing. It's a 10-minute delay. Ooh, that wasn't a big deal, but I was stressed because I hadn't heard anything from the credit union, and the money still hadn't moved. So I called them back at 9 o'clock. Maybe this was like 15 minutes before they were going to start calling people to board the plane. And I'm sitting in an airport terminal at a gate. So there's like 50 people sitting around me. We're all just sitting there waiting to get called to board the plane, right? So credit union answers, and I go, yo, good old Wilfie here. Where's my money, bitch? I was nice about it, but basically, yeah. And it's the same guy from the day before, from Thursday. It's like, all right, cool. He remembered me, which is outstanding. That's always a plus. And he said, oh, yeah, we need you to get on the phone with a supervisor and verbally verify the dollar amount that you want to send. Okay, that's fine, but why in the hell didn't you just call me and tell me that? Oh, they were supposed to reach out to you yesterday. Yeah, well, they didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, could you send back the form that I sent you? I said, well, I already did, and I'm in an airport, dude. I can't print stuff out and get it notarized and scan it and send it back. Oh, no, we have the notarized copy. I just need the blank or the empty form unfilled that I sent you. Okay. So I emailed that PDF back to him. And we're talking, and they started calling people to board the plane. So like, fuck. Then I get on the phone with the supervisor. And now, keep in mind, I'm sitting in an airport in I guess like a suburb of Austin, Texas. There are 50 plus people just sitting there waiting for the plane to start boarding. And they got nothing to do. And most of them are just staring at their phones, but there are plenty that are just kind of zoning out, which is what you do at an airport because there's not much else to do. Now, I have to verbally tell this woman over the phone, yeah, the amount that I want to wire is $23,744.22. I'm a little weirded out by having to say that out loud in a room full of strangers. I don't know, there's not a lot they could have done. It's not like I was carrying the cash, but I don't know, it just seemed weird. I don't like flexing, you know? And it just seems like talking about moving that kind of money in an airport for a Spirit Airlines flight, you know, they're kind of the El Cheapo airline. It just seems crass, trashy, and, you know, it does kind of single you out like, oh, Mr. Moneybags, all right, well, let's rob this asshole when we get to Orlando. Anyway, so that phone call ends, and I board the plane, and the flight is uneventful. Land in Orlando on time. So they have a knack of making up for lost time in the air on Spirit Airlines. I'm not sure how they will. I know how they do it. They file a flight plan, and you know, once you're in the air and out of controlled airspace, you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want within reason. And so I'm sure that they, you know, there's a cruising altitude, of course, and then a cruise speed that does not approach the maximum speed of the aircraft. So I know what they do. They plan their routes with a specific speed, and then if they're running a little late, the captain just kind of gives a bit of extra gas and moves, you know, bumps up the cruise control about 20 or 30 miles per hour. You know, nothing big, but whatever. Anyway, we land on time. Now, Orlando International Airport, it's a bizarre airport. It's on the older side. It's like 20 or 30 years, well, probably 30 years old, maybe more. But it's got kind of a weird layout, which I guess you can say that about every airport, but Orlando has all of its gates in separate buildings from the terminal, from the main terminal. And they're all connected through people movers. So, you stand in a hallway and the car shows up, the doors open, everybody piles in, and off you go. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so anyway, it's a big airport because it has to be. Orlando's a huge tourist destination. So it sees a lot of traffic. And because there's a cruise port, there's a ship port, there's Port Canaveral, like 50 miles east, where all the cruise ships go or leave from. And then Disneyland or Disney World, and there's Universal, SeaWorld, and all sorts of tourist attractions in Orlando, so right, tons of traffic. But every time I've gone through Orlando International, I've had the same experience where they tell you what carousel your baggage is going to get unloaded to, which they do at every airport. In Orlando, anytime they give you a carousel number, you can count on it being wrong. They're usually off by one, and it's not the air crew's fault. It's the airport, because they just don't plan, and shit goes south or sideways, and yeah, it's just silly. But anyway, yeah. So your carousel number they give you is always wrong, and this was no exception. They said 22, and then I get down there to the baggage claim, and there are signs, little electric or electronic signs on each of the carousels saying which flights they're covering. And I noticed that my flight, Spirit Airlines 732 service from Austin, was not listed. But then I glance at 21 down the way a bit, and I see a whole list of flights, and I look, and sure enough, there's 732. Like, hey, there's mine. So I go wait at carousel 21. Everybody else figures this out too, and so there starts to be a crowd congregating around baggage claim. Now, to their credit, the baggage carousels at Orlando International are huge. They are intentionally designed to make tons of room for lots and lots of people to collect their baggage quickly without causing too much of a traffic jam. Tons of room. So there was never really an angry mob, but there were enough people to form an angry mob. And form it did, because an hour later, after the plane lands, there's still no luggage. And it's not just our flight. There's no luggage. No one has their luggage from any flight. None of the carousels are moving. And so, like, oh shit, something went wrong, something bad happened, and everybody's luggage is missing, or whatever. Now, this is all going on in the background for me, because the minute I hit the ground, the minute it was a controlled landing, the minute we landed, I cranked up my phone again, and I started checking to see if the money moved for the wire. And it didn't. It's still sitting in my checking account. So I call the fuckers back, and I go, all right, what's going on? You guys said yesterday that you would have this at the dealership by Thursday afternoon. Now, mind you that throughout these conversations with them, I've told them that, okay, these guys are 20 hours away by car, and I'm trading in my old car. I got to drive up there. And there's no point driving up there, because they're not going to give me the new car unless they have their money. So, you guys got to do this. It's got to be done in time for them to get the money by Friday afternoon so that I can go buy this fucking car on Saturday. And they're like, no problem, we got it. Well, Friday afternoon, of course. Now, it's around 3 o'clock. It's already reaching a point where it's gonna be a stretch for me to race home, unload the car, clean it out, and then get back on the road and get my ass to the dealership before they close at 5 p.m. Saturday. It's doable, but, getting down to the wire. So I called them around 3. I'm like, all right, where's the money? Why hasn't it moved? And they're like, well, they're still processing it. The woman in accounting that does all this, she's at lunch. And I'm like, at 3 p.m.? And they didn't really have an answer to that. So I'm thinking what that really meant was she was off doing something else. So whatever, I didn't really care. I just wanted to, no excuses, just fucking do it. And the dealership called, and they're like, hey, we know you're going to be driving up here, and we don't want you to waste the trip, so just letting you know we haven't gotten the money yet. And I'm like, dude, I know, these credit unions dicking me around, I'm really sorry. And they're like, no, it's not your fault. You're buying the car, take your time. Just, we wanted to spare you the drive if we don't get the money. So, because we can't sell you the car if we don't have the cash. But yeah, that's fine. So, got off the phone with them. I told them they swear up and down that they're sending the money today, so blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, just give us a call if they actually do it, and we'll go check. Like, cool. And I begged and pleaded with the credit union to please call me if you need anything or when the money moves. This has to get done. And, of course, they did remember finally to call back to give me the good news at 4:30. Hey, the money moved. The wire has been sent. Like, great. Thanks. Fuckheads. It's 4:30. They're not going to get the money today. Sure enough, I called the dealer, and they had not yet received the money. The way it worked out, they got it Monday. Fucking wiring money. I'm going to vent about that in a minute, too. Finish my story. The dealer's like, nah, we didn't get it yet. If they only sent it just a few minutes ago at 4:30, there's no way it's going to show up today because the bank at our end has to clear it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, I'll see you guys next weekend. Take care of the car for me. They're like, no problem. You're good. We'll see you next week. So, meanwhile, the luggage still hasn't shown up. Nobody's luggage has shown up. And people have gone from just milling about and joking about it. Oh, yeah, that's Orlando and their slow-ass luggage. Because Orlando's luggage stuff is really slow. They're really, really sluggish with baggage service. But anyway, 4:30. This is about an hour and a half after the plane has landed. All the carousels light up all at once, and they all start finally spitting out luggage. And a fellow passenger finally clues me in on what happened. I guess after we got off the plane, now this didn't happen to our plane, it was fine, but somewhere else on the tarmac, unrelated to our flight, something caught fire. It's a big-ass fire right out there on the tarmac. And that, of course, stopped all ground movement because, holy shit, there's a fire. That makes total sense. So naturally, you're not going to get baggage loaded or unloaded or moved out of plane. Nothing's moving around until they get the fire put out. And so that's what delayed all the luggage. And it showed up, and none of our stuff was scorched. It didn't affect us at all except for the delay. So, no harm, no foul, just a little slow. It's kind of funny, though. People were getting ready to start lynching people. And, so, at any rate, because I wasn't going to be driving that day.
There's a speed trap ahead.
Thank you, Betty. I love that. And I also love the fact that in a Prius, when you're on cruise control, you can slow down without hitting your brakes. Anyway, so yeah, I just took my time leaving the airport, and I went home, and settled in, got lectured by the cats, interrogated by the cats. You know, they say that cats are very standoffish, and they get offended when you leave them for extended periods. Like, you know, a day, if you go to work and come home, that's no biggie, but, you know, they supposedly get pretty pissy. Oh, God. Okay, this guy's going way slow. They get kind of pissy if you leave them for a few days by themselves. And, you know, as the stereotype goes, they, when you get back, they ignore you for a few days. You get the cold shoulder from the feline council because how dare you abandon them? The domestic help is not supposed to leave. But when I got back, they were on me like flies on shit. My cats are not like that for whatever reason. They were like, you know, some of them don't. They keep to themselves most of the time anyway. But Simba, Turbo, Calypso, Blue, of course. Blue is a sweetie. But yeah, the four of them, at least, all came out, ran out to see me. Simba starts sniffing my legs, like, where you been? But yeah, they were happy to see me. And they were immediately cuddly and friendly again. I like my cats. They're good critters. So, yeah. That's my story. My exciting money wire story. So, yeah, back onto that other rant. I have never worked so hard in my life to spend my own goddamn money. Jesus Christ. Wiring is supposed to be instantaneous. That's the whole point of it being called a wire. They could have fucking mailed the check, and it might have gotten there faster. Jesus. And I'm not even joking. They could have sent that out Thursday morning, and it probably would have gotten to Vermont by Saturday. Because, you know, mail's pretty quick. But, you know, it's just ridiculous. And I get why they had to be so cautious, and that's perfectly reasonable. But the fact that their communication is just terrible. Oh, wow. That's not a speed trap. Oh. Well. Huh. That was not a routine traffic stop. They had a girl that looked like she was by herself out of a nice shiny looking van, and there were quite a few cops there questioning her on the side of the road, well away from her car. Anyway, yeah, it was just so frustrating. It's like, what is so hard about just fucking calling me and letting me know what's up? I guess that's beyond the capabilities of this credit union, so I'm going to be switching, I think. I probably won't close that account because, you know, it's useful to have multiple bank accounts, but yeah, I don't think I want to do day-to-day business with them anymore. Piss me off, they do. Right out of the way. Did Mr. Speed Demon get past me or not? Whatever. So what else is going on? I was following a story yesterday on Kiwi Farms. My favorite lol cow, one of my favorite lol cows, Russell Greer. He is, he's that little goblin, weird looking guy. He has Mobius syndrome, so it makes his face constantly look like this. He can't move his facial muscles, so, you know, that's not his fault. His goofy facial expression is the one thing that isn't his fault. And that does legitimately introduce some physical issues for him, like eating is weird for him, and he tends not to enjoy doing it around other people, and I don't blame him. and it makes it, he has trouble talking because he can't really control his lips. So he's hard to understand when he talks. That's where the excuses stop, because this guy is a fucking asshole. He's been, he's the guy that sued, well, I'm sure there are plenty of people that have done this, but he sued Ariana Grande because he paid like $1,000 for a special ticket to one of her concerts and a meet and greet after the show. He dressed up in his ratty old suit. He's got a 3-piece, just the one that he's had for over a decade that he doesn't take care of. But anyway, he dressed up all nice and he brought flowers. Now, right on the ticket, it says no gifts. Because seriously, what the fuck is this musician supposed to do with like 50 random gifts from people when she's touring and not, you know, it's not like she can just load that extra shit up in a truck and take it home. There's a tour bus that's got all their shit. Anyway, so he shows up and he gets in line, and she disappoints him. Now, at the time, after he was done, he took to Twitter and to Facebook and exclaimed how excited he was to see her, and it was great, and everybody treated him really nice, blah, blah, blah. But then, about a month later, he started making noise and eventually sued her, claiming that she didn't fulfill the terms of their contract, which they didn't actually have, because she gave him the hover hand when she posed for a picture with him and didn't compliment his suit, and her security staff wouldn't let him give her his present for her. And I guess when he tried to speak up about it at the event, they kind of just ushered him out politely but firmly, like, sir, you're done, go out, go away. And that pissed him off, so he sued her. Now, of course, that suit didn't go anywhere because, obviously it didn't. So he's done shit like that. He sued Taylor Swift for similar reasons. He sent her a song that he wrote, and is very disappointed that her agent wouldn't accept it. And again, there is a legitimate reason why they don't do that. Namely, you send some popular musician a song and they take it and produce it. Well, now you're going to ride their ass for the profits because you're the songwriter. So they don't do that. Anyway, so he sued Taylor Swift a couple times and fucked it up each time. He's a former paralegal. And I say former because he abused, when he was a paralegal, he used company equipment and access to the legal records to start stalking women. And so they figured that out and they canned him. And after that, he had a lot of trouble getting hired by any of the law firms because no shit, they talk to each other. So yeah. He's relegated now to, you know, doing custodial work for Walmart or Target or wherever he works now. He also, because he claims his disability prevents him from ever meeting anybody for romantic or sexual purposes, he has a habit of saving up his meager earnings to take trips out to the brothels. He lived in Utah. He has since moved to Nevada, where the brothels are closer. But yeah, he used to take the train because he couldn't afford anything else, or the bus out to Nevada to one of the brothels, and he would pay pay a prostitute to have sex with him. I kind of feel bad for whoever had to service him, because, having a slobbering, drooling idiot that's got a very bizarre view of sex, either on top of you, slowly grinding, or quickly pumping, whichever, like a jackrabbit. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. Ugh. Anyway, poor girls. Well, he's not had the best of luck with prostitutes either. There was one that he saved up like $1,000, and he arranged. This might have actually been in Utah, because if memory serves, in Nevada there is, even where prostitution is legal, it has to be done in a brothel, and I don't think they're allowed to leave the property with a client, and that's what Russell tried to do, and I think he ended up having to do this in Utah with under the table kind of arrangement, because it's illegal in Utah, because of course it is. Anyway, what he wanted to do was take his hooker on a date, an actual date, and so you can't do that in Nevada, because no worker is going to go for that, and the house isn't going to either. Like, wait a minute, you want to take one of our employees out to dinner and then come back and no, you're not going fucking anywhere with her. That's not cool. That's not safe at all. So he does this in Utah, offers a hooker $1,000, and they negotiate 4 hours. And he pays for dinner, of course. She gets her $1,000, and he pays for dinner. Now, he picks her up. Wait, no, I think they met at the restaurant. I don't think she trusted him to be responsible for her transport or her safety. And I don't blame her for that. This woman was crafty. So they go to dinner, and he takes her to the Olive Garden, because, man, that's going to woo a girl. I mean, they're not terrible, but that's not exactly top shelf food there. Anyway, I'm not talking 4-star. But he takes his time at dinner, like trying to get to know her and talk to her and be all flirty with her. And he's really trying to treat her like a girlfriend and not a, prostitute. There's a limit to how, okay, no, you should always be decent. You'd be nice to a hooker if you're going to use one, but, there's a limit to what you can do in terms of, like, emotional intimacy, namely, not much. She's not your girlfriend. She's there because you're paying her. And if you weren't paying her, she wouldn't give you the time of day. But anyway, so he's there for hours. He tries to get her drunk, and she, of course, doesn't drink. Or, sorry, she doesn't accept drinks from him and does not partake in any alcohol while she's there with him. Smart girl. So what ends up happening is this dumbass runs out the clock. He manages to spend like 3 hours. Oh, my voice crack. He manages to spend 3 hours or so just at Olive Garden with this woman, trying to woo her. Even though you don't have to woo them. That's kind of the point of going to a hooker. You kind of skip all that. It's like, you know what? Fuck dinner, fuck saying hello, fuck being nice, fuck flirting, whatever. Here's money, open legs, give whole. I know it's crude, but that's just how it works. That's the point. Right. So, he manages to piss away 3 hours just at the Olive Garden. Now, convinced that he's got an hour left, he convinces her to come back to his place which they had agreed to initially. And of course she drove. They both drove, and she took her own car. And that takes like 20 minutes. So they get there, and there's only about 40 minutes left. And he doesn't... I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I'm not romantically involved...
Speed trap ahead.
Ooh, thank you, Betty. If I'm not involved romantically with a woman, if it's just I mean, even when I've had one-nighters with random women that I've met at different parts of my life, if they were staying the night, that's one thing. But if she was just there to boink and go, then I'm not gonna lie, 40 minutes is plenty for me. You take off the clothes, do a little bit of foreplay, get the parts working, insert tab A into slot B, and Bob's your uncle. And then go away, put your clothes on and fuck off. I'm kidding. But anyway, he doesn't do that. Nice sound, phone. Anyway, he keeps trying to woo her, trying to win her heart, make her his girlfriend. And the dipshit runs out the clock. He literally never even gets... It doesn't occur to him, oh shit, I've only got 40 minutes. I'd better get inside her. Again, sorry for being crude, but that's the business at hand. So 4 hours comes and goes, and he does not. So at the 4-hour mark, she tells him, okay, it's been 4 hours and this is all the time you've paid for, so it's time for me to go. Oh, that pissed him off. And he tried to she did offer apparently to stay if he was willing to pay. You're paying her for her time. And I think she even offered to cut him a break. $1,000 for 4 hours, that's $250 an hour. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty reasonable. And in Orlando, that's about the going rate. Why I know that, I'm not gonna tell you. Kiwi Farms is not the only fucked up forum that I read. So there are several others, and one of them is a discussion forum about that hobby. So it's just fascinating to read about all that shit and learn about it. Anyway, I'm really getting off the rails here, but who cares? I've got lots of time. So yeah, she even tried to cut him a break and say, look, just throw me $200. I'll stay for another hour and we'll get to business. And he didn't have an extra $200, so he had to part ways with the lovely lady. And I think she threw him a bone, pun intended, and gave him like a strip tease. She didn't leave him completely blue-balled. At least he got to see some boobies. And probably the down below too, but you never know. So she didn't do nothing. She spent time with him and then stayed over the clock a little bit, took off her clothes briefly, let him at least see the goods that he paid for but failed to access. Dumbass. And then she got dressed and took off. Oh, that pissed him off bad. So he bitched about that forever and ever, and I think that even got included in one of his later lawsuits, and I'll get to that. Another prostitute he had trouble with was at one of the brothels, and that was a legal transaction, but apparently she failed to accede to his demands or his requirements. From every indication, she got him off. I mean, she did the deed and, got the job done. But it was yet again, it fell down, or it came down to that same weird idea he has about women, including prostitutes, that, okay, I've done X for you, now you are my girlfriend. Now you do things for me. And that's not how it works. And as a matter of fact, unless you're filthy fucking rich, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at somebody, or what you have to offer them. If they're not into you, they're not into you. And anyway, yeah. So there was this prostitute at one of the brothels pissed him off in some way. I guess wouldn't date him or wouldn't be his girlfriend. And so he took to social media and started trying to spread a rumor that she had AIDS, which can be pretty damaging to the reputation of a sex worker. And so that pissed her off. She threatened to sue him and got a restraining order against him. And he was also subsequently banned from all of the brothels in Nevada that Dennis Hoff owned. And he's dead now, so I imagine those bans have been lifted. He managed to get himself unbanned at some point anyway. I don't know, maybe it expired after a year or something. This guy's antics have been cataloged for like 6 years now. So right, he got himself banned from all the brothels, or most of the brothels, and then whatever. Then he met some woman in Utah where he lived, and started stalking her because she made the mistake of saying hello to him and being kind to him. Very nice girl from every indication. And he eventually got charged for stalking her and convicted. Not convicted, but he ended up pleading guilty. And then he moved to Nevada to presumably be closer to the brothels. And I mean, if that's going to be your habit, you might as well make it more efficient and less expensive, right? Yeah. So he has also filed other lawsuits. He's currently suing the Kiwi Farms, which makes me laugh. And he's filed a whole bunch of really bizarre briefs and other documents trying to support his claim. Now, he does all of this pro se, meaning he represents himself. Because as he always claims, he also files in forma paupus, I think that is. Whatever that Latin means. In other words, he begs the court, hey, I want to file this lawsuit, but I'm broke as shit and I can't afford your fees. And for the most part, for him, of course, the courts have always said yes, because you don't really have to go to much length to prove it. It's mostly an honor system, which I think is a bit strange, since it's a court, but whatever. So he files for free, and he represents himself. Now, he's not a lawyer. He did get a paralegal degree of whatever kind you get to be a paralegal, but all evidence points to they kind of just passed him because they were sick of dealing with him. And they didn't want to deal with giving him a refund or deal with the fight involved in just booting him out or failing him. Because this dude's writing is hilariously bad. His grammar's terrible. And he's produced so many amazing quotes. And he wrote this shit in a court document. So this is all on record. You can read this. Oh, he also published 2 books. They're both shit. One of them is Why I'm Making It Legal to Have Sex with Your Daughter for $500. What the fuck? And the other one is Why I Sued Taylor Swift, or something to that effect. And, of course, he's got no sales. And one of his things is he's desperate to... Well, he wants to see brothels legalized, or prostitution legalized. For obvious reasons. He wants it closer and cheaper. Fine, whatever. To be honest, and I'm going to get to this, this is the actual point that I'm going to get to. I agree with him on that. It should be legal, and there are good reasons for it to be legalized, and they're mutually beneficial for customers and prostitutes, but I'll get to that. Anyway, so he's published some books about that. He published a book about that. He published a book about suing Taylor Swift, and he's filed a bunch of lawsuits over the years. And he whines. He uses his court filings as a blog. And one of his most famous legal grammar goodnesses. I'm fucking up the words on purpose because he does. He told a court, honest to God, this is in the filing, that he had to pay a woman to suck him his penis. Or the way he put it, suck me my penis. I'm like, what? Ugh! And he's just so gross. He is the poster child for why prostitutes sometimes really fucking hate their customers. He's also the poster child for date rape awareness, and he's one of the assholes that we can thank for the dating scene being complete shit, and women being completely paranoid about men and treating men like shit. Even the decent ones, no bitterness there. And no, I'm not going into incel territory. Relax. So, right, he's just done all sorts of really stupid shit. But the most recent silly thing he's done, aside from suing Kiwi Farms, he also, in that lawsuit, he's claiming copyright infringement, even though the stuff he's claiming never got posted on Kiwi Farms. It got posted to Google Docs. And curiously, he has never filed a DMCA claim against Google to get them to take it down. They totally will. It's free, and they're not going to argue with him. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's done. But he's never done that. So you can still read his shitty books online for free, because no one's ever paid for it. Except maybe the poor schmuck that did it so he could upload it for the world to laugh at. Took one for the team. But, right, so he filed this supplementary brief in the Kiwi Farms case. God, so silly. And in it, he whines about how the Kiwi Farms supposedly killed a guy, drove a guy to suicide a couple months ago. And now the trannies on Twitter have also grabbed that story and run with it. And they're full of shit, because he lived in Japan, supposedly. He's an expat, lives in Japan, he's an American citizen, and supposedly killed himself in Japan. And Japan has some pretty decent open records about deaths, and there's no record of the guy dying. The United States government, I think it's the State Department that does this, they publish a report every quarter about American citizens' deaths overseas. And according to the State Department, nobody died in Japan during the time frame or nobody American died in Japan during the time frame this guy supposedly offed himself. So what really happened? He's retiring his online identity and swearing off that emulator community, and just starting over. That's all he's doing, and he's letting people just speculate on how he died. So the guy's alive. It's all fake, and people are full of shit, including Russell Greer, because he tried to point out, or tries to link Kiwi Farms to harassment and all that other shit that people always bitch about. Just for the record, people sitting and talking in their own private room and laughing about you, talking about you and laughing at you, that's not harassment. If they come to your house, that's harassment. If they start mailing you things, that's harassment. But, just laughing about you on a private internet forum, that's not harassment. Please make a note of it, stupid snowflakes. Getting back to Russ, the thing is, none of that's relevant to his case. ostensibly, it's a case about copyright infringement, although he has also made a couple claims that Kiwi Farms has irreparably damaged his reputation and ruined his chances at being a famous pop star or songwriter. But that's his other thing. He figures that if he gets in good, in Taylor Swift's good graces, she'll make him a star. And he's written a bunch of shitty songs and had them produced by, bottom tier music production companies. And they're terrible. The songs are just terrible. Anyway. So that's all going on. That's kind of the background of Russell Greer. Go to kiwifarms.net and go to the lolcow forum. It's the very first list, very first on the list. And go look up Russell Greer, because that's like 3,000 pages of hilarity to go read. There's a good summary in the first post, so don't worry. You don't have to read 3,000 pages of shit. But his most recent antics are amazing. He has created a political action committee, a PAC, called Safe something or I don't know. He's created a PAC to try to legalize prostitution. Okay. Now, we all know that he's doing the male feminist thing. And if you don't know what that is, I don't necessarily agree with third wave feminism really at all, because they basically think men are evil bastards and need to die. So, I'm a guy, I'm not an evil bastard, and I'm really happy with not being dead. So, we're not going to be friends. And, they treat men the way that society already kind of unofficially treats men. And I swear to you, I'm not getting into incel territory here. It's sad that you get categorized, you get stuffed in that or pigeonholed in that category just because you notice this shit and have the audacity to point it out. But here we go. Whenever there's a war, men get called up first, and they're the ones expected to go drop their lives, pick up a gun, and go risk their lives for their country. Women are free to enlist, but we have never once drafted a woman into the armed forces. We've drafted plenty of men, though. Men are expected to do the heavy lifting, all the physical labor, and all the menial shit. And for some reason, despite the general effort to destroy the so-called nuclear family and disrupt the traditional family unit, men are still expected to provide for and protect a woman and her children. These days, even if they're not his kids. And in family courts, men get the shaft every fucking time. There is an automatic and well-documented bias against men, fathers especially, in family courts, and tons of examples of very unfair treatment of men in court. And we are essentially third-class citizens whenever it comes to, I guess if you're building a list of people that we're supposed to give a shit about, men are at the bottom. And, whatever. It is what it is. Not much I can do about it. But I don't have to support it. What was the other example I was going to give? Not the women and children first thing. That's standard chivalry. That's to be expected. That is our lot. God, what was the other thing I was going to say that ties that all up nicely? It's gone. Oh, yeah. Women, feminists especially, bitch about equality in the workplace and the gender pay gap, which doesn't exist, by the way. And that's all. Yeah, that's the other shit. I'll get to that. This is a very bifurcated, nested rant, isn't it? Got 14 hours left, guys. Right. Anyway, the other fun thing. Women complain about, oh, there aren't enough women in different industries. And, there aren't enough female CEOs, not enough female C-level executives or high-powered corporate jobs. When's the last time you heard somebody complain that there aren't enough women in plumbing? When's the last time you met a woman that's super pissed that there is obvious sex discrimination in the forestry and logging industry? Kind of interesting, isn't it? Now, electricians, yeah, I think there's more women in that. But you ever notice that the shitty jobs, the really dirty jobs, the ladies don't seem to mind the gender disparity in that. Kind of interesting how that works. I thought that was kind of funny. And the other thing that third wave feminism does that really fucks me off the most is it's making good inroads in convincing people that all men are horrible rapists, just waiting for the right opportunity to just shag every woman they see. That couldn't be further from the truth. I don't want to rape every woman I see. I have the decency to offer coffee first. But, feminism is responsible for that absurd statistic, which is also bullshit when you actually dig into it, that 1 in 3 women are going to get raped at college. That whole thing, they arrive at that statistic based on a ridiculously flawed premise that has absolutely no support in evidence at all. There is absolutely no historical or legal precedent or any kind of proof that this was ever true. They start with the number of reported sexual assaults. Not rapes, sexual assaults. That can be anything from, hold her down and fuck her, all the way to called me toots or touched my buttocks accidentally. That can count as sexual harassment. So they start with the number of reports of sexual harassment. Not prosecutions, not charges, not convictions, just reports. Then, with magic, they extrapolate that for every incident that's reported, there must be 100, give or take, that go unreported. Because, there's a real culture, and apparently, even though merely being accused of acting inappropriately towards a woman is enough to destroy a man's career completely and irrevocably, we apparently live in rape culture. Right. Me too, right? But yeah, despite that, we live in a rape culture, and that discourages women from reporting sexual harassment and sexual assault. So, for every reported incident, there must be 100 unreported ones. Also, every reported incident is a full-on rape, no exceptions, and it's always a fully penetrative and blah 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 hardcore rape. It's never just looked at me funny or said something crude. And then from there, they extrapolate an increasingly ridiculous progression of stats that are complete bullshit because they're basing it off a flawed premise and bogus data to begin with. So, feminism did a good thing in the 60s when it, kind of leveled the playing field for women. Of course, first wave gave them the right to vote, so, that was good. Although, I don't know, the jury's still out on that. I'm kidding. Right. Second wave is what introduced the idea that women could also work. Women could be more than homemakers and housekeepers and happy married wives staying at home, taking care of the house, feeding the husband, having dinner ready for hubby when he came home. kind of the Ozzie and Harriet thing. And, that's all right. Although that did a lot of damage, believe it or not. But third wave feminism has convinced all women that men are just rapists waiting for an opportunity. And I think the worst thing that third wave feminism has done is demonized being a homemaker, being a housewife, raising a family, staying at home, keeping house, raising the kids, taking care of the family while the father goes out and earns money to take care, to provide for the family. That's a bad thing now, apparently. Except it's not. That's a valid choice. That's something that is perfectly reasonable for somebody to aspire to. And third wave feminism has kind of convinced everybody that that's bad. And they actually try to shame women who choose to be stay-at-home mothers, to raise a family with their husband and stay home, take care of the kids, keep the house clean, have, cook meals and all that shit, and just take care of the household. And they get shamed for that now. It's really sad. So, fuck third wave feminism. But one entertaining thing it's done is it's made a whole bunch of women that, as George Carlin pointed out once, you'd never want to fuck in the first place. It's made them all batshit crazy. And that leads to a lot of fun. And that's where this intersects with Russell Greer. So he started a PAC to try to legalize prostitution. And it's just him. He doesn't have any staff. He doesn't have any... he filed the paperwork to create it. But it's literally had no money come into it. It's spent $0 on any kind of lobbying or legislative work or organization or putting together rallies or anything like that. All he does is post from its Twitter account basically begging sex workers and other prostitution-related PACs to join forces with him, to collaborate. Now, I brought up the male feminist thing earlier, and it's typically a bad thing. A male feminist, that's a pejorative. Any man that claims to be a feminist is a sex pest. Feminists are not your ally. If you're a man, feminism is openly opposed to you and openly acting to destroy you and the things that you hold dear. So no, they're not allies. They're not. You shouldn't support them. You're supporting your own demise. You're giving aid and comfort to the enemy, and I don't mean that. I'm talking just in generic terms. I don't think feminists are evil enemy people trying to kill me. It's just they're fucking with things that might affect me, and I don't like that. I'm sure as hell not going to help them. But, any guy that claims to be a male feminist doesn't believe a fucking word of it. He's trying to get some feminist pussy. That's all that ever is. And I'm not even joking. That is seriously how that works. Any guy that shows up at a rally filled with women for any purpose, like, I don't know, women got together and pissed and moaned about Trump for reasons, and they made it into some woman girl power thing, because then the Handmaid's Tale or whatever that shit was, because women are kept as slaves these days. Fucking idiots. But they showed up and had this big rally, and they all wore pink hats, and whoever manufactured those hats made out like a fucking bandit. That's always how that grift works. But anyway, a bunch of men showed up to that, and they put on the cute little pink hats too. And I support you. I'm showing solidarity. No, you're not. You're sniffing around for pussy. That's all it is. That's all any of it is. Any guy that says, "Oh yeah, I'm a feminist," nope, run away. That's a guy that's going to try to rape somebody. But most of us are not male feminists. In fact, we don't want to be. So, and that there is a point to that rant too. And this is all connected, I promise. So, in recent days, Russell has made a bit of a miscalculation. It's one thing to reach out to, I don't know, civil-minded and cordial, just organizations that try to improve working conditions for so-called sex workers, prostitutes, strippers, and the like. And he's done that. He's reached out and said, "Hey, you want to join forces with my pack? We're gonna, make it legal around the country to have sex for money." But he made a mistake a few days ago, and he kind of poked a hornet's nest. It's not going to last for very long, but God, is it satisfying. He pissed off some radical feminist, pro-sex work British woman who really hates men, absolutely hates men. And she's letting him have it and spreading the word far and wide. She's part of an organization that I think is going to go really far. She herself, I think she's a lol cow, and I'll explain why in a minute. So anyway, yeah, she's spreading the word far and wide about this guy, and she's right. He's a sex pest. He absolutely is. He's the kind that if he ever did have an opportunity to rape a woman, he would take it. And there's no denying that. But of course, he's also stupid enough that he's the kind that would try to buy roofies off some stranger, end up getting sold chewable vitamins, and then getting really pissed when it doesn't work and his would-be victim doesn't pass out. He is that kind of guy, and he's cracking up, and I think he's going to be, I think eventually he's going to make the national news, sad as that is. So this woman is right for blowing the whistle on this guy, making a big stink about him, but some of the other shit that she says, including while she's ranting about him, but also just in general, clients are not allies. No clients in the sex worker movement. And that kind of got me thinking. You're pissed off because what you do, presumably selling sex for money, or exchanging sex for money, is illegal. And you would like that to be legal because there's obvious problems with it being illegal and doing it anyway. First and foremost, you could get arrested, get a criminal record, and because it's not legal, you're less likely to seek police assistance if somebody roughs you up or robs you. And it's the same for clients, by the way. Sorry girls, it ain't just you. If you're a guy and you decide you're going to go see a hooker, well, you've got those same risks. It could be a sting. It could be a very big, burly black guy with a gun waiting in the hotel room instead of a delightful young woman who demands your money, maybe kicks the shit out of you, or if you're pissed enough, just fucking kills you. There's always the possibility of getting ripped off. There's always the possibility of catching something. So there's risks on both sides. But here she is, advocating for legalizing it. Now, besides the sex workers themselves who would benefit from having it legalized, the other group that would benefit most from having legalized prostitution would be the customers, the guys paying for it. And she's taken adopted the attitude that men who pay women for sex are automatically not trustworthy in any effort to try to legalize prostitution, because I guess it's like male feminists. They're just sex pests, sniffing around for free sex. And I've heard others explain that, oh yeah, if a guy acts like he supports legalized prostitution and he tries to join an organization to lend material support or work for them or whatever, there's a good chance that he's going to be sniffing around for free pussy. Like, oh, well, you dumb hookers, I'm helping you, so why don't you put out? Well, first, that kind of attitude is a lot more rare than people think. Thanks again, feminism, for making all men out to be just horrible pigs. And the other issue is, you can weed that shit out really quick. And, if you figure out that somebody is just pretending to care about your cause and he's just trolling around for pussy, all you got to do is sort of uninvite him from all the functions and leave him on auto pay for his donations. That's all you got to do. Not that hard. And the other big issue, much as feminists complain about this, and whether they're right or not, politics is still dominated by men. They're gonna kind of need male support to get stuff legalized. And this approach, this attitude of, hey, we're sex workers and we want our stuff to be legalized. Also, fuck all men, we hate you, don't you dare help us, fuck you, you're evil. Oh, by the way, could you please legalize this shit that we sell you and hate you for buying? Thanks. Yeah, no. It's just ridiculous. And I guess, prostitution is like retail work in the fact that it's public-facing, kind of, and the workers tend to hate the customers. That's just how it goes. But it's kind of weird that at the same time, the same woman that was bellyaching about all this and bitching about Russell Greer, she has openly said things like, I don't scam clients, I defund men. I bet she's a real joy in the sack. Now, if she adopts an attitude like that, and she's not the only one that does, I imagine a lot of prostitutes really don't like their clients. That's fine. You don't have to fall in love with every guy with a couple $100 bills that wants you to put out. You just put out, take the money, and you're done. Fine. Why on earth do you expect respect for that, though? Like, I'm probably a bad example because I know flexing is, I said I don't like to flex, but if I'm going to take the time and go to the trouble of having sex with somebody, I'm going to make sure they have a good time too. I don't want it to be a bad memory for them, Bad enough that, you got to deal with me. I at least want you to get off. So, I put in some effort. If I like you, I'm going to put in a lot of effort. Because, I also kind of figure, hey, I actually convinced this woman to have sex with me. She's hot. This is a good thing. I like this chick. I want her to want more. So, nom. But you get the idea. But, if I'm going to go pay a woman to have sex with me, I know that's a business transaction. I know she doesn't care about me or love me or anything like that. I suffer no illusions of that. But, if I get the vibe that she hates my guts, I know she probably does, or at least doesn't like me, or doesn't give a shit. But if she's putting off a vibe that she just hates my guts, fuck you. I'm going to get what I paid for, and I don't give a shit if you enjoy it. Get to work, lady. What am I supposed to do? And I don't know why on earth anybody expects anybody to put women up on a pedestal like that when they're engaging in sex work. Okay, fine. And, if they're courteous, decent to their customers, great, fine. I don't mind. I'll respect that. But God, there is such a thing as a hate fuck, and those can be good. And I know it's crude, but if she doesn't care about me, why the fuck should I care about her? And that's kind of the reality that a lot of these women, these sex workers face. And they don't quite realize it, and so they just run their fucking mouths and tell everybody that might want to help them that, oh yeah, we hate you, we don't need your help, fuck off. Oh wait, yeah, we actually do kind of need your help, but don't you dare volunteer. We'll only take your help if we demand it. That way we can feel like we forced you to help. It's all fucked up. Anyway, my voice is turning to shit, so I think I'm gonna go. I will start this video uploading. Who the fuck knows if it'll ever make it. While I'm on the road, I may have to wait until tonight at the hotel to get it out the door, but who knows? You'll see it when you see it. Thanks for listening to my bullshit, and that's my rant for 10 o'clock. Yeah. All right, well, have a good day, everybody, or a good evening whenever you catch this, and I will catch everyone later. Expect photos and videos of the shiny new car once it's acquired, and some goodbye photos of this car, because I love this car and I'm going to miss it. Like I said, I feel bad for trading it in, but it's time. Have a good one, guys. Take care, and I'll catch you later.